going live, and you are live. What is going on, everybody? RogersBase here with my live reaction to One Piece manga chapter 1161. Clearly, people in my chat are having the same issues that I'm having. Manga Plus is down, Viz is down. Obviously, we're going live a little earlier than normal this week. I have an extremely busy work weekend, and so I figured it would be easier to just go live at like 8 instead of going live at 9. But we're here. We're live, we're early, the chapter's just about to drop, and clearly it's going to be a good one because both Manga Plus and Viz are not refreshing. I'm getting 404 little alerts on both of them. So we're going to have to see. Again, hopefully it's really good. This, thankfully, has been one I have not seen anything about, and that's mostly, again, due to the fact the first half of this week I was traveling, then I was at that Pokemon TCG preview event, then I was busy doing the final draft for the Sega video. I have another Sega thing coming out soon. I've got a Nintendo thing coming out soon. I've got the Pokemon preview video coming out soon. There's just so much that has been happening. It's honestly a little overwhelming. There's been a lot of work that I've had to dive right into since getting back, and obviously a lot of stuff from that trip that I have to record and upload for you guys too. But either way, we're here, we're live, 1161. Looks now like Viz is working. I refresh and I'm seeing here, new chapter, 7 days, chapter 1161. I still got a 404 on Manga Plus though, so that's fine. We're doing Viz, and we're kicking things off, it looks like, with the color spread, which is very nice. This is looking really nice. What we hold in our hearts is forever. And there's little dolls of Carrot and Boa that are getting thrown away. What kind of nonsense is this? What is going on here? They're at like a plushie machine? What we hold in our hearts is forever. So you've got Luffy and Nami grabbing different plushies from them. Oh, there's a Gaimon? What? Wait, this is actually really cute. This is super cute. Wait, also, what's going on here with, like, this lion in the back? What's happening? We've got Frankie, he's looking for coins. Robin praying for a certain plushie. Zoro sleeping on the Shirahoshi plushie and looking down at the Zoro one. Jinbei sleeping, he's bored by the whole thing. Brook looks like he's crying. And then we've got Chopper stuck inside of the gacha machine. With Usopp trying his best to get him out. That is actually genuinely so funny. So Chopper's in there and Robin's praying to get Chopper. This is so cute, actually. What in the... There's like a lot of good cameos in this too. What the heck? There's like the buggy one on the side. You've got, of course, Sanji with all the girls holding Pudding, Viola. That's funny. He's got... Oda was thinking with this one. He was cooking. And then Nami's holding Belmare and Vivi and Nojiko and all the people from Arlong Park. What is up with the giant lion in the back, though? I'm sure that's meant to represent something. Look at the Kinemon and the Yamato on the top as well. And of course, Luffy is holding on to Shanks and Ace and Sabo. Why has he got Gaimon in his mouth, though? What is the point? Why has he got Gaimon? And poor guy dropped the boa one. That's so funny. And he's holding Gabon and Rayleigh and Whitebeard and Garp. Dude, this is so cute. What made them decide to do this? The Saul one in the back, I just noticed too, behind where Jinbei's sleeping on the giants. There's like the Dory and Broggy one with the Saul one. Oh, this might be like one of my favorite color spreads they've ever done. This is legitimately one of the best since I have started doing my One Piece reviews. Because there were a couple that really stand out. Like, I liked that recent one of the top 3 of each crew. We had like Scopper and Rayleigh and Roger and Luffy and Zoro and Sanji. That one was a really good one. I loved that one that was red and white that we got during the Wano Country arc. That one was great too. We get good color spreads every once in a while, but this one is immediately iconic. Incredibly cute idea. And again, I feel like there's lots of little Easter eggs hidden in here. Again, you got the Witheria wizard over there that Nami's holding on to too, that taught her doing 3D2Y. This is great. Wow, this was not how I expected to wake up this morning. This is already invigorating me. I was very tired going into this one, doing it early, but this is awesome, man. This is really cute. You even got like, man, the Barb Maidens and everything, and Momo. Who else is there with Sanji? Is that like one of the mermaid? Why is Mancherry with Sanji? Perona's in there, Lilith. You've got Whoop Slap even behind Luffy. Okay. Oda, if you put Whoop Slap in this and you didn't put Big News Morgans, we're going to have a problem. You put a lot of characters in here. I'm not seeing Big News. Where is Big News? Big News should be right there next to Vivi. Nami should be holding on to the Vivi one, and you should see Big News. That is... Oh, actually, wait a minute. I think I spoke too soon. Oh, no. Oh! I just saw something else. Inside of the actual machine, because I saw Poof in my chat saying Zeph is still in the machine. Inside the machine, Zeph is still in the machine. But look at the other characters. Dr. Hululuk, Tom, Clover. You've got like all these characters that aren't with us anymore inside of the machine, bro. This is so cute. Also, thank you, Matthew, for the super chat saying good morning, afternoon here in Lucca, Italy. Just joining your live feed. Glad you didn't get spoiled and hope you have a great day. Thank you very, very much. Greatly appreciate that. Nakama. Thank you once again for the super chat. Wow. Great color spread. I cannot remember the last time I spent 5 minutes on a color spread at the beginning of the chapter, but that is genuinely a really, really good one. And it says here, this one was based on a request of Luffy and Usopp catching a Chopper plushie at a crane game by Koedo. Koedo, you're a goat. He's up there with Noda Skywalker already. He's got some good requests. This is really, really nice. Oh, dude, I'm looking at another thing too. Brook, I saw in the corner, Brook is the crane. Brook is literally the crane with his arms. Oh, man. I love this. What a great way to start the morning, man. This is already good. Yeah, I was trying to find the other characters. I didn't even see Brook. What a great color spread. Wow. Okay, great way to kick off my Sunday. I love that. Let's get into this chapter. All right, One Piece 1161, A Song of Love Bound Under a Hail of Arrows. And we're still not at the end of the Yamato cover story. We finally got somewhere with it, with the, I'm forgetting his name. I'm blanking right now. Don't tell me. Obviously, I know it. My Moria, thank you. So we already got that Moria reveal, obviously, but now it says Ogre Child Yamato Golden Harvest Circuit Pilgrimage, Volume 43, Where the Heroes Sleep. Pedro is written up there on the list of heroes now. I kind of love that. So I'm assuming the Straw Hats must have told them and put that up there. Well, at the very least, of course, Nekomamushi and Inuarashi would have made sure that Pedro was up there. And again, with how close the Minks were with the Kozuki clan, that's actually really nice. You've got Oden right on the top, Toki over on the left, who I genuinely thought was going to be alive, or, we were going to see something else with the Time Fruit. We didn't end up doing that. Yasui right on the other side, Fugetsu, Tempura, Shimotsuki, Ushimaru, Otaka, Ashura Doji. Kind of messed up that Ashura Doji and Izo not only got off-screened as scabbards of Oden, but also aren't even getting, top billing. A little messed up there. Kurozumi? Oh, of course. Her horn's blocking it, but obviously it's going to be Kurozumi Kanjuro, because at the end of the day, still, he burned up Orochi. That's interesting. Okay. Interesting. Mar, you got Tai, Taki, another one on the bottom. And you've got Momonosuke, grown-up Momonosuke, and Kinemon praying with Yamato at the shrine. And again, Oden, very, 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 very top. So there you go. Also, Sterling is saying, where are the membership videos? Sterling, I saw you recently joined the Nakama group. If you go to the community post, that I just made. There is a link to the member drive that has all the member videos that you're looking for. Everything has been uploaded there, and anything that is not in there is now currently uploaded publicly and free for everybody over on the VOD channel as well, my Vault channel, which there's a link to on the main page. So thank you very much for bringing that up, because I had that question asked a bunch this week. A lot of the members-only videos are public over on the Vault channel, and a lot of them are over in the drive if you can't find them there. So make sure to look. Yeah, just make sure to use the most recent link, because if you don't use the most recent link, it's not going to work. All right, here we go. Boom. 1161. All right, we're jumping right into it. Here we go. Many figures converged on the island, bearing their individual goals and desires, turning God Valley into an inescapable battlefield of nightmares. Please, my lord, leave the island through the evacuation tunnel. Not yet. I wanted that prize. We'll be responsible for bringing it with us. Responsible? You'll be held responsible for depriving us of a good time, you bungling fools. This Marine is just trying to help the Celestial Dragon so he doesn't die here. And yet, the Celestial Dragon is not budging. And it says here, maybe this is our big chance. Let's use the chaos to find us a boat. Meanwhile, you got Roger screaming, where's Shakky? She better be unharmed. Eris, Teach. Oh, so we got the name Okay, we got the name of Blackbeard's mother, Eris. Eris and Teach, where are you? You got Rocks thinking as all the God Valley stuff is going. And meanwhile, Garp screaming for Roger, yelling, where are you, Roger, down on the bottom? Obviously, they're going to convene. Excited to see that. But meanwhile, you got on the top left Dragon holding baby Shamrock and baby Shanks, and you can see him struggling with his little arm sticking out of the bottom. Seems like they're having a pretty good time, though. Which way are the Navy ships? Pirates. This is the wrong way. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. And you can see the little version, I don't know if that's Shanks or Shamrock, looking over the shoulder of Dragon at what appears to be one of the God Knights behind him, screaming, saying, found him! It's a sailor carrying a baby. This is the one that looked a little bit like Inazuma that we said, what's it called, during the last manga chapter reaction with the split hair and the sunglasses. But here we go, jumping on at him, shooting, what even is that? Shooting like just a beam through his arm. Okay. Doing like a direct hit on Dragon. That's a mess. Also, welcome, Soba Mask. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, he's rocketing a, I don't know what that is. Oh, we're getting a name. Oh, there, got him. You saved my life, Matthew. Garling was going to kill me, I'm sure. And you've got the babies falling to the ground. And we get the reveal of the whole... Oh, and this is where Shamrock is going to get separated. Oh, okay. That answers my question. Holy Knights, Satchel family, Saint Maffy. I actually do really like the Saint Maffy design, though. Garling had a kid. Well, who'd have thunk it? I can't imagine who would want to kidnap the brat, though. So, okay. Grabbing Shamrock, and he's reaching out saying, ugh, Dragon's trying his best to help him. No, wait. Don't take those babies. They're the only way I can atone for being a part of this sick and murderous game. Again, Dragon's already super sick of himself for everything that's going on here in God Valley. And she's about to kill him, slamming down, saying, so long, young man with the sword. Shamrock's crying. And Dragon just admitting his fate. He's accepting it, saying, well, considering all the people who have died, I guess I deserve this too. Dang. But then we get, okay, Saint Maffy split. Halfway through saying, out of the way, splitting the entire forest. Now, hold on. Is this like a full-on separation? Did they manage to actually cut and kill Saint Maffy? Or are we going to see some of that regeneration? Okay, and we got Whitebeard. Wow, okay. Whitebeard and Big Mom saving Dragon. I wasn't aiming for you. That was an enemy that I cut down. I mean, how many pirate crews are on this island by now? Liar, I almost died there. Do we really need to settle our score? I guess now's the time. Bro! Whitebeard and Big Mom, the beasts, walking onto the battlefield as poor little Dragon down there, having just lost Shamrock, looking up is like, whoa, who are these enormous pirates? Yo, Newgate, bro, look at this spread. Newgate, were you trying to kill me, you rat? So we've got all the pirates now going against each other. Shakky and Linlin, you lied to me. And Kaido's coming after Big Mom? It's the Rocks pirates. Take them down and we'll end up famous. So you've got all these other pirates trying to go after them. And Shakky's like, hold on. Do they think that they deserve to win Shakky too? And then you get a 4-way attack against these meaningless fodder pirates with Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, and Shakky all slamming around, attacking everybody else. Really, really cool shot. I love the bit that you could clearly see the Prometheus fire to the right. One of the other pirates is getting burned up. Even just that shot of Kaido with the giant club, the Oni club, back to back with Whitebeard with his giant spear, and then Shakky slashing him in the middle. That is an amazing panel. You can see the other pirates flying backwards. Okay, you've got Saint Maffy still holding on to Shamrock, saying, what's happening to this island anyway? So clearly, that was not an attack from Big Mom and Whitebeard that permanently separated her. She's still holding on to him, nice and tight, despite the fact her torso got ripped in half. And Dragon saying, now I've got an opening to escape, but she's got the babies. No, she doesn't. There's little Shanks. There's little Shanks. Little Shanks on the bottom, knocked out with X's in his eyes with a little bump on his head. So Dragon's very... Also, this is cool that Whitebeard, through attacking, kind of inadvertently saved Shanks. That's kind of a nice, cute little thing right there. Also, I don't know if he meant to do this. He probably did, knowing Oda. I don't know if he meant to do this. But notice the arm that's cut off on the bottom. Obviously, Shanks is a baby at this point. He still has both of his arms. But that with the manga panel, they did it at an angle, so it looks like one of his arms is gone. That's kind of crazy. Oda knows what he's doing, man. Again, these Easter eggs are great this chapter. Whether it's, the stuff that we're getting in the color spread or whether it's the stuff we're getting here. But that's actually super funny that he managed to do that. Cutting off his arm there. Poor little baby Shanks. All right. I sense a big catch-up ahead. We're on page 10 and 11 now. Found myself a first-class fishing spot. So now we're jumping over to Garp's perspective. Okay. Whoa. Come quietly, you Neptunians. So you got Garp slamming down with one of his attacks. Obviously imbuing it with some conquerors right there. Looking real good. And you've got Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido running from Garp. Saying, aren't we going to fight him? No, forget it. It's Garp, run or we'll be stuck here forever? Zeus Prometheus. Yes, Mama. So Zeus witnessed all this himself. And you've got Dragon looking up at the sky saying, Dad? Wait. Is this? This is Garp's attack? So Dragon, obviously. Crazy seeing Garp there. Garp slamming down. And you're looking at Big Mom. Heavenly Fire Blitz. Giant flume. Enormous explosion. Taking up half of the page. You can't even tell what's going on there. Whatever was in the path of that attack is eviscerated. You got little scribbles in the middle, and then it's just white with doom doom. And then the impact with all the pirates around it. Bro! This is Prime Garp versus Prime Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard. And they're running from him, saying, run or we'll be stuck here forever. That's kind of crazy, man. Wow. And you get the kaboom with a little explosion there on the bottom as well. Who did that? What was that? This is our big chance, Kuma. So now we got the explosion. Seeing more of Kuma and Ivankov's side. Wow. I feel like that is going to cause a lot of... You guys know I'm not a huge fan of it, but I feel like that's going to cause a lot of power scaling discussion. I think people are going to start discussing Garp here in a different light. Now, well, we'll save it for the review, but I have a lot of thoughts on that one panel in particular. That's just crazy to see Big Mom, Whitebeard, and Kaido running away. I also see Bryant Brawler super chatting saying, I can't wait for the anime episode for the shot of Garp coming out of the fire. Dude, look at this. You call that fire, Lin? You couldn't cook prime rib with this. And she's saying, damn it. And we got this amazing shot of him grinning in the middle of the fire too. Completely silhouetted out with the doom doom. Extremely cool shot. You even see the crackling of the fire there as well. As he's walking on out of it. You know the anime is totally going to cook with it. You are completely right, Brian. Once you actually see that shot of him walking out of that attack from Big Mom. And he's, oh man. And you can see she's like, damn it, what am I going to do now? Him saying you couldn't cook prime rib with this is a crazy line, man. Really crazy line. Well, the kidnappers have got to be dead now. You got St. Maffey still holding on to Shamrock. The baby is safe and sound too. Is that good? If the baby is safe and sound, then perfect. Come back here before Garling finds out. And meanwhile, Dragon's running back saying, I'm so sorry. I might not be able to rescue your brother, but at least I've got you. Dude, oh, dude. That's the set. We all were wondering how it was going to happen, too. And now we officially got it. I also even love the framing that he did with that as well, showing the two babies on the different sides of the battlefield back to back. With Shamrock now being taken into the Holy Knights and then Shanks going the other way. Oh, man. You thought you could take advantage of the confusion to escape? No one gets out alive, resident or pirate. And you see, getting the thing ready to go with the gun. Firing at all the different pirates. And they're all screaming. Reporting in, sir. The Rocks pirates are coming from the southeast of the valley. The Roger pirates are inbound from the northwest. We're about to be stuck between the two. Okay. And you've got a little map of God Valley right there. The here now. You got the line. Sicil Dragons, Roger, and Rocks. Okay. We are going to take Shakky back. And meanwhile, they're all screaming, that's Roger. Defend the spot with your life. The treasure hasn't been hauled out yet. And the Rocks pirates are coming from the other direction. Meanwhile, you see a bunch of the Rocks pirates descending. Gloriosa, Kyo, Shakky's back over there. I don't know. Shakky managed to escape that entire Garp confrontation in like seconds and float his way on over here to go get Shakky. You got Captain John over there as well. Silver Axe. I'll go save her first. No, me. Get off, get off. We got to rescue Shakky. And they're all pushing against each other. All right. Yeah, and we got the map of God Valley. Let's put a stop to them. You made sure to escort Shakuyaku, right? Oh, and there's St. Summers. Huh? St. Summers? You're kidding me. You guys can't handle one woman in handcuffs? So she took them all out. Okay. It sounds like there are lots of pirates causing trouble out there. Ugh. I hate a woman who knows her own worth, and he slaps her. You were better when you were naive. Oh, man, and he's... Okay, she's kicking back at Summers. Wobbling back up despite the fact she's handcuffed. Kicking one of the Holy Knights. Looks like he actually got hurt by that, too. You hear the crack in his shoulder. He grabs her leg. Oh, and then he slams down with the Thorn Club onto Shakky. That's right. All those pirates are here to steal you back. You know, you're in high demand. So high that it's ruined our big day. But alive, you're only going to wind up with Garling. So the more emotional choice is to kill you and make sure that no one can have you. Oh, man, Summers! Also, cool that they're pairing him up with Shakky in this sequence, with Summers being her jailer, considering his whole thing about like love and passion and all the stuff that we saw in Elbaf and the Thorns and what he did to Robin. Man. They've all come far and wide to rescue you. But when they finally get here, battered and bruised, they're going to find their beloved brutally slaughtered. And I wonder how they're going to react to that. And he's building up the suspense as you could see Roger clashing with Whitebeard right in the middle. Yo, Shakky, I'm here for you. The rest of them are screaming. Are you okay, Shakky? I'm coming to save you now. And Shakky's screaming for more explosions on the bottom. Look, it's me. Here I am. Damn it, I can't get through. You gotta get Shakky. And they're all flipping through the sky. Rayleigh coming. Oh, this is gonna be good. I know how Oda's cooking this up. I know how this is gonna have to end. With everything we're seeing here. This is gonna be good. So Shakky's looking out over. Can you hear that? Oh, and Summer is still being brutal. Can you hear that? They're right behind us. But they'll be just a second too late. St. Summers, I don't think St. Garling would approve. Shut up! If you don't say anything, it's going to go in the books as an accident. I mean, just look at her face. The light of hope has finally gone out. This ain't no fairy tale. If someone comes to save her, I'll kill him. Reality is cruel. And he's got the giant thorny club all the way up in the sky and slamming on down. Yo, I'll kill you in 5 blows. And with each bloody smash, you'd better regret the peace-addled optimism that led you here. and he's about to slam down. You can see his face just like completely covered in shadow. You get the shing, and then right here, this is what I was waiting for. The moment that Shakky fully 100% falls in love with her future husband, Rayleigh. Rayleigh, sword out, jumping on down, the little light coming off of it, about to slam into Summers. I will put the flowers on your grave to send you off, which of course, Summers' whole thing is thorns and flowers too, and roses, and then boom, spider, lily, steel. And he just goes, yeah! Boom, flying into the wall, impacted there. Rayleigh's looking up. Shakky's like, my savior. He's huffing and puffing. Sorry I took so long, and he's got the note still. Come and get me, Shaku-Yaku, reaching his hand out. I've come to get you. Her knight in shining armor is the one and over Silver's Rayleigh, bro. Oh, I love this. I love this. You get the explosion. She's crying. Ray, you took too long. And you see the handcuffs still attached. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to go through this. She's still crying, saying, I was so scared. Never again. Oh, oh man. Oh, man. Never again. They're promising their love right now, and you got Roger and Gabon crying in the front. Please, can you do this later, damn it? We got Shakky back, boys. Now let's take some treasure and let's get the hell out of here. Everyone else is screaming. Savior of the day of the God Valley incident was none other than Silver Rayleigh of the Roger Pirates, saving Shaku-Yaku, his future wife. To be continued, One Piece manga chapter 1161 end. I love what Rob just said in my chat, saying Roger and Gabon are like, get a room, come on, man. They all wanted to be with Shakky, but it's too much. I love this. Also, we got Ethan super chatting saying, I love the miscommunication between Maffey and the Navy officers. The baby versus the babies. Figarland is still going to take an officer for missing one of those babies. 110% he is. You got Claxton here also saying, I just looked back and that was a really good catch and a good choice in the translation. Bro, Angel of York. Holy mackerel. Thank you very much. Coming through with a $50 donation. Wow. Saying while Rox is not a good person, he's not the villain that I thought he'd be. Do you think he's going to go berserk or something, whether he sees his family die, or because of something like Domi Reversi that makes Garp and Roger team up against him? That is an extremely good question that I'm going to brew on and save my answer for the theory and super chat portion of this live stream. But I wanted to acknowledge that right away. That is a massive donation. Thank you very, very much. Coming through with a $50 donation, Sir Angel of York. And don't worry, we're going to get to all the super chats and all the donations after the review, after we showcase James's thumbnail. You can keep them coming. I got them all tracked on the back, but we will get to that answer in just a little bit. Thank you very, very much. Wow. Okay, review time. First off, I did not think this chapter was going to end with her fully being saved already. The fact that we are getting this already says to me we are probably going to be out of here in real time in like 2 or 3 chapters. Because at this point, we've already seen a lot of the other portions of God Valley, right? A lot of the major things that we needed to see happen have now already happened. Shanks and Shamrock have been separated. That was a big thing that we had a question about. Garp has arrived and seemingly is scaring off Prime Kaido, Prime Big Mom, Prime Whitebeard, and Prime Shakky. You've got, again, Silvers and Shakky having their full reunion. You've got Garling now knowing what's going on with at least one of his kids. The reveal of another one of the Holy Knights. And all the other stuff that we've already seen, right? Again, we got that little glimpse that people are going to be like, blink and you miss it. On page 10 and 11, it's going to be a blink and you miss it thing of Kuma and Ivankov seeing more of their perspective of things, right? We've already gotten a huge chunk of the perspective of God Valley from Kuma's flashback, where we saw the stuff with the devil fruit. We obviously saw the stuff with Big Mom and young Kuma. We saw a lot of the stuff with the treasure as well. We saw a little bit of God Valley during that initial introduction. So I'm wondering how much more we're actually going to spend in God Valley. If I'm being real, I would love if this takes us to the end of the year. I know I mentioned last chapter review when I was in Chicago. I know I mentioned that I thought we were probably going to get like 3 or 4 chapters from where we were last week. I kind of feel like that is not the case. Also, you guys are right in the chat saying I shouldn't call him Prime Kaido because technically he doesn't have his devil fruit yet. You're right. Or he's not even using it yet. I guess we do have to kind of see that here. We do have to see him physically eating his devil fruit. We didn't see that happen because we talked about that during the last one as well. We still got to see that. We got to see the stuff with rocks as well. We're going to have to see the rock stuff. But I'm almost wondering if that could be its own self-contained chapter. If this one is the self-contained, saving of Shakky, I'm assuming the big rocks thing is probably what's coming next. It's just really wild to me seeing how he's sort of like layering all this stuff together. I do feel like we have to have at least 3 more. We have to. We got to at least see a rocks one. We got to see the disappearance of God Valley. And then we also have to see like at least one like battle-centric chapter, I feel like. At least 3. Which again, depending on breaks, we got another chapter coming next week. They said that there's no break during this chapter. Depending on breaks, I mean, that might take us to the end of October. Which then means I don't think we're necessarily even getting out of this flashback this year. Or if we do, it's like the very, very end of this year. I could see a situation kind of similar to what happened actually last year. Where remember the big chapter at the end of last year took us out of the Egghead flashback with Kuma's life. That was the big chapter. I did the reaction on Christmas and everything in front of my family tree. That was that big chapter that took us out of it. So I feel like that could maybe be another end of the year chapter type situation in which we get 3 or 4 more chapters of flashback within God Valley. And then the remaining chapters of the year take us through the rest of the flashback with what happens after God Valley. Because at the end of the day, this is still an Elbaf flashback. This is still Loki and Harold. We're going to have to see what happens there. We're going to have to see Loki's growth. We're going to have to see, like, a big thing I think we're definitely going to see in this flashback, especially considering how tied Big Mom is to the stuff with God Valley. We're going to have to see Big Mom and Loki and the betrothal to Lola and Lola escaping. Like, this is the only time that's ever going to come up in the story. So that for sure is going to be a thing that we're eventually going to see within the flashback within Elbaf as well, too. So there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't mind him taking his time with this. I think this is all, like, amazing, good world building, good information, great seeing some of these characters together. But again, yeah, maybe like another month of God Valley, and then that takes us into like November with then a month of Loki, and then like December we're back in a real time in Elbaf. But I think again, with the strength of the characters that we're seeing in God Valley, again, this panel on page 8 and 9 of Kaido and Whitebeard and Shakky and Big Mom ravaging these pirates, seeing all of them attacking, going against Garp. Like, I think in terms of strength, even some of the stuff we're seeing with the Holy Knights in this chapter, like with St. Maffey getting split in 2. Obviously, Maffey didn't get permanently attacked and was still holding on to Shamrock. But that was still a pretty amazing looking panel. Like, in real time, we're going to have to see Gaban utilizing his training, telling Luffy and Zoro and all the other characters that are with him, plus the characters that are still on the top, plus the giants that haven't been Domi Reversi'd. You have to remember, while this flashback is still going on, you've got Domi Reversi'd Dorian Broggy running around Elbaf with Gunko taken over by Emu, with, in real time, St. Summers, who got one of his arms sliced off, but still in all is still running around over there. There is just a lot of stuff happening. Also, Rob Harley brings up at the bottom of page 13, if you notice Captain John's arm, oh, and actually Andrew Dittman also super chatted this as well, saying a wild thing to notice once you do, take a look at Captain John's arm, all the love Nakama. You could see him with his little robot arm over there. Interesting. That is indeed very interesting that Captain John has what appears to be like a robot arm. Now, the question is that a cyborg arm? Or is that like Kid's Devil Fruit? Which would be kind of interesting if Captain John was the former owner of Kid's Devil Fruit. We haven't really seen Captain John do much, though. That would be wild if they just showed that in the middle of a little blink and you miss it panel on the bottom. That John might have Kid's Devil Fruit. Man. Maybe it is. I mean, maybe it is actually Kid's Devil Fruit. That would be weird, though. To not show him utilize it at all. I guess there's still more of God Valley. We could see more of him doing it. And maybe this is more of an Easter egg for people who Oda's like, hey, did you catch, by the way, Captain John's arm on the bottom of page 13? It is drawn in a very similar style. And timeline-wise, it would be cool for Kid's Devil Fruit to have been present during God Valley. And I think would also make sense, because obviously at some point John is dying, because we see his zombie back in Thriller Bark. We know Buggy wants his treasure more than anything else. That would be cool. That would be very, 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 very cool if he ended up getting that. Also, that would be incredibly cool if there was a member of the Rocks Pirates that had a devil fruit that eventually was one half of the team that eventually took down his former crewmate Big Mom. There's a lot of poetic justice to that. To Captain John, if that is indeed Kid's Devil Fruit, and that is not a cyborg arm, that would be kind of wild that eventually, one day, all these years from now, someone who has his Devil Fruit is going to be one of the ones to take down Big Mom. Very cool little thing to point out there. I also, if you're talking about like my favorite panels of the chapter, I love, love, love that panel on page 12 with Garp. That panel of Garp walking out of the fire. You know what it actually really reminds me of? The way that he's drawing the shadows and the fire crackling off of him and everything. It reminds me a lot of Full Metal Alchemist, which again, I watched recently this year. That was the big watch through that we did back in February and March. We watched through Full Metal for the first time. The look on Garp's face looks extremely similar to the look of some of the homunculi. Doesn't it? With the glowing smile and the glowing eyes. I mean, they're making him look inhuman during that, which I think is exactly what Oda wants. They want to see, like, who the heck is this man who's able to withstand this heavenly fire from Big Mom and have Whitebeard and Kaido and Shakky running in their boots against him. Incredible stuff. Man, good call out with that thing with the arm, though. Donkey is also saying, wasn't John's arm normal in Kuma's flashback? I'm going to be completely real with you. I don't remember. But I never noticed the arm before. So maybe it is a devil fruit. Maybe it's a devil fruit and he's activating it while running through God Valley. That's a good thing to bring up. Oh, but Rob, interesting. Rob is also bringing up that he went back and looked at the zombie version of Captain John and he did in fact have that arm. So maybe it isn't devil fruit enabled. Maybe it is actually like a cyborg kind of arm. Interesting. Huh. I got another. I'm just going to read some of these super chats out that relate to John just because we're all talking about this John conversation in the review. I got another one about the thing from John from Lion Son saying real Captain Kid's dad was actually Captain John. Oh, do we know? Wait, really? Also, what if John's treasure marker that Buggy had was actually assigned using the magnet fruit? So it literally pulls you to John's treasure. Oh, I like that. I also didn't know that about the real Captain Kidd. His real dad was named Captain John? Oh yeah, Captain William Kidd. Scottish privateer, romanticized after his death, whose exploits became the popular subject of pirate-themed works. Okay. And he sailed under the crew in the Caribbean under Captain John Fatine. Whoa! You guys might be cooking, actually. This is neat. I love when he puts like real pirate lore in the world of One Piece. That is awesome. Dude, I did not know about this. That is interesting. Maybe it is. I'm saying it's 50-50 right now. Maybe it is. Because realistically, if Kid put together his magnet arm, right? Even if he dies, like when we see Kid at the bottom of the sea, he still had his arm connected to him, didn't he? Like when, because he didn't die obviously there, but when we see that panel of like Shanks has eliminated the Kid pirates and you see him and Killer on the bottom of the sea, he still has his arm attached, I believe. I'm going to type this panel in. Hold on. Decimated Kid Crew panel. Where you see him laying on the bottom. The Kid Crew has been wiped out. Let me look. Because if I'm remembering correctly, I think it is still attached there. Kid bottom of the sea One Piece. It's not giving me the exact thing that I need. Let me look at this panel again. The crew was completely eradicated. You see them going down. Am I misremembering? Oh, no, I'm not. No, there it is. There it is. Bottom of the ocean. Yep. At the bottom of the ocean, he is indeed sitting there with his arm. So that's lending, I think, further credence to the idea that maybe Captain John is indeed either related to him or maybe was the former owner of his devil fruit. Yeah, you clearly see him lying there with the arm still attached. So yeah, maybe you can lose the fruit and still have it. Interesting, man. Interesting stuff. Not at all what I was planning on talking about during this review, but a lot of people brought that up, and so I wanted to bring it up. I'm not going to read any more of the other Super Chats just yet, because I want to get into those once we're in the Super Chats and theories. But since we had that discussion about Captain John, I thought it was important to bring up the John-related ones there. Thank you all for bringing that up and bringing that to my attention. Something else I want to discuss regarding this chapter is all the stuff with Dragon. You know, we have him really trying to atone for being part of God Valley, even though we saw at the end of the last chapter that they were indeed trank bullets. It wasn't like he was killing anybody, but just the fact that he had played a role in God Valley clearly is something that is going to radicalize him to eventually becoming the dragon that we know and love today. And I think the fact that he didn't end up saving Shamrock and that Shamrock got separated here in St. Matthew's arms is going to for sure come back once we get to Final War. I think that reunion, because there's a lot of different fights that I think are going to happen during Final War. We've talked about this before. I feel like Garling versus Dragon is a lock. Guaranteed. Luffy's dad versus Shanks' dad has to happen. No doubt about it will happen at some point during God Valley. That will be a confrontation. The clashing of the ideals, him having been responsible for all the stuff in God Valley, God Valley being the thing that radicalized Dragon, being able to take down the person who was responsible for the whole thing. Like there's a lot of story-related stuff that just makes sense for that clash to come to a head. But I also kind of feel like now there's going to have to be some type of panel or some type of confrontation between Shamrock and Dragon. And Dragon feeling extremely guilty and very responsible, despite the fact that he was a young Marine at this point. What was he going to do against the God Knights and the Rocks Pirates? Nothing. But I do think there's going to be a moment in which he feels responsible for losing Shamrock. Because Shamrock was just a baby at this point, right? Shamrock, his life could have gone a different way had Dragon actually saved him and he didn't get, grasped by the clutches of St. Matthew and brought back to his father and radicalized by the Holy Knights and turned into the evil man that we know today, right? So I almost feel like there's going to be a really emotional, really tearful scene with Dragon and Shamrock at some point being like, I am so sorry that I could not save you. Look at what you've become. You have an opportunity to be something better. You have an opportunity to help me and your brother. You have an opportunity to stand against your father. If your father is the reason you turned out this way, I think there really is going to be some type of Dragon trying to turn Shamrock against Garling. And I also feel like there's potentially, I don't even want to put this out there, But I feel like there's potentially drama that could come from Shamrock maybe killing Dragon. And being like, no, it wasn't my father. He was the one who raised me to hate the people like you. You're the reason I'm the man I am today. If you would have been strong enough to save me back then. Like, dude, there's just good drama baked into the way that he set up this scene. Having him, again, I don't hold Dragon responsible for the fact that Shamrock got lost. Again, that's the fault of the Celestial Dragons and everyone else who's attacking him here. And again, God Valley was crazy and he was just a young Marine by this point. Presumably, he doesn't even have his Devil Fruit by this point in the story. So I'm not holding any of that against Dragon. But I just think the drama that's set up in this chapter, with Dragon having had both of them in his hands, running away, getting that separation, only being able to shave Shanks, which I still think is a super funny panel on page 9 where you get baby Shanks, arm still cut off by the manga panel, little bump on his head. I do feel like there's a lot of cool showdowns coming. And I think there's a lot of neat stuff still to come. I think we could even get some type of Garling Dragon confrontation here. With him holding on to Shanks and him being like, I lost one of the kids, I can't lose the other one. And then going against Garling and maybe Garp saving his son. But his son being like this, I can't stand by what the Marines have done here. How much of this did you know, Dad? Like, a lot of good family drama being set up once again. But how much time do we have for this? I'm not really sure. I don't know how much time they're going to dedicate to this during Final War and how much time they're going to dedicate during the God Valley flashback. I think, Garp obviously coming through and saving him for this little bit and having that moment of him saying Dad is enough to get Big Mom and Whitebeard and Kaido out of this situation. But seeing what a beast Garp is in this chapter, and knowing that they're eventually going to team up and that Rox is going to be there, like, how is this going to work? Shacky's already been saved. Is Rayleigh just going to up and dip and then Roger and Gabon stay there so Rayleigh can actually escape with Shakky and get her safely out of there? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. And again, these other pirates that are still there, we need to have Kaido getting his Devil Fruit. Big Mom, like, there's big stuff still to come. But this, once again, phenomenal chapter of One Piece. I feel like he has just been knocking it out of the park with these God Valley flashback chapters. Elbaf in general, man, I feel like has just been moving at such a great pace. And knowing the other characters that are still here. Like, I saw someone just bring up in my chat from Lucky saying that there's still potential for Emu to maybe arrive here via Gunko, and that being the thing that wipes God Valley off the face of the earth. Also, we barely even talked about it. I mentioned it a little bit when I was doing my reaction to the chapter. But man, that scene with Summers and Shakky and all the stuff with him, if no one else, if I can't have you, no one else can. Feeling very like Judge Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame, slamming against her. And you've got the other Marine being like, Summers, I don't think Garling's going to like it. He's like, Garling's never going to need to know. How about you shut your mouth, slam it down against him? Tech Zero super chatting saying Ray has finally found his One Piece. Yeah, right. He got Shakky. That's all he needs. That's the treasure. Man. Yeah, really, really incredible chapter of One Piece, man. I thoroughly enjoyed this one, beginning to end. Really great stuff here. And again, the artwork and the fact that we're not going to go on a break after this one, too. Man. Like, we're just continuing onwards. 7 days from now. Dude, this... Again, that dragon sequence I thought was excellent. I think if I had to rank, like, some of my favorite sequences in this, I'd say the dragon separation sequence with Shamrock and Shanks. That bit with Garp coming out of Big Mom's fire is so good. Of him saying, you call that fire, Linlin, you couldn't cook prime rib with this, is so sick. And then I get that bit with at the ending with Rayleigh saving Shakky. Man, excellent, excellent chapter of One Piece, man. Really, 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 really good. All right. Well, with that being said, I want to see what James did for the thumbnail this week. Let me open this up. Oh, of course he did. Of course he did. Look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. Because what else are you going to get the chance to draw this? Absolutely beautiful panel of young Rayleigh saving young Shakky. Sword against St. Summers. You're safe now. I love what he did with the splashes of white in the back too. Very, very, very good choice with this. Absolutely. Great colors. Look at even the little, look at the outline. He added like a glow around the black outline to have a little bit of a gradient on it. Gorgeous, man. And I love the little Gaussian blur too on the front with the sword, so it looks like there's a different perspective. Yeah, exactly. You got the sword there. He's still pushing forward. Dude, he also made Shakky look super cute here. This is the cutest I've ever seen Shakky look. She looks really cute here. With the little earrings and everything. And he made Rayleigh look awesome too. He's got the chiseled chin and everything. The glow coming off of the hair. You can see the glow on the glasses as well. Wow. Also, we got Rob saying, I know this reminds me of something. I know there's an anime or a Disney movie poster that this is a reference to, but I can't put my finger on it. A Disney movie that this is a reference to? I don't know. I don't think this is like a reference to, maybe like a Star Wars thing. I could see this being a reference to like a Star Wars thing with the way the hair is flowing and the lightsaber and Leia or Padme and Anakin. I mean, I could see a little bit of Star Wars, but I don't see any Disney references in this. I just can't get over it. Man, he did a great job with the hair here, the detail on his coat with all the little flowers and all the little frills. I feel like this is easily something that he could sell as a sticker separately. I think James at some point. Oh, let me open this up too. Give me a second, everybody. Let me open up the chat. Now that the chapter's over, chat is now open for everybody. Everyone's going to be able to talk in chat. Welcome, 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 welcome. I had members only on, obviously, because I didn't want to be spoiled, but now you guys are cool. You can all talk. Man, I really, really love this one. Again, I think the thing that really makes it pop is the glow of the radiant and the glow of the little gold that looks like the sun and the light shining through coming off of the outline. Really nice. Yeah, extremely nice drawing from James on this one. Really, really, really well done, James. Also, Ashmet is saying, I miss Luffy. When is Luffy coming back, Roger? I don't miss Luffy at all. I don't miss Luffy at all. I am perfectly content staying in the God Valley flashback for another 2 months. All this stuff with Elbaf. When we get back to Luffy, we've had enough of Luffy. When we get back to Luffy, he's going to be wrecking house in Elbaf. I don't miss him at all. I love Luffy, but I don't miss him. I'm assuming, again, I think it's going to be end of the year. Probably like December is when we're going to see it. Yeah. Also, the thumbnail reminds me a little bit of Tarzan and Jane. Oh, okay, a little bit. Or the One Punch Man meme with the green-haired woman pushed up against Saitama. You mean Tatsumaki? Maybe. Also, we got Dylan Smith in the chat saying, Summers might be my favorite knight. He is so irredeemably evil. Yeah, James really did a beautiful job with this one. I really love this. Even the glow on her face. Like where the lighting is coming through and the... Yeah, wow. Well done. Well done, James. James always cooks, though. This is what I pay him the big bucks for. He's great. Absolutely great. That is a beautiful thumbnail. Yeah, also, I don't think it is a reference. It's just a common pose. Rob is saying it might actually originate from Star Wars and that inspired others to use it. Man. Really beautiful stuff, James. Well done. I do want to get into some of these super chats, though, because we got a bunch of these, and I want to answer the big $50 one that got sent earlier from Sir Angel of York, because I was thinking about it as we were going through the review portion, and as I was talking with the chat. This whole thing, let me remind you guys, Angel of York said, while Rox is not a good person, he's not the villain I thought he'd be. Do you think he goes berserk or something because when he sees his family die, or because of something like Domi Reversi, which is what makes Garp and Roger team up against him? I don't think it's a Domi Reversi thing. I think it's going to be something where either his wife dies, or he maybe comes face to face with Emu. Because again, you have to remember, Rox knows the truth about Emu. He straight up said to Emu, I will be back for you. I will be back in this room. I will be back. So if Emu does end up showing up here, because again, we know Gunko is present in God Valley. If Emu shows up inside of Gunko, right? Or one of these other Holy Knights and arrives, and comes face to face with Rocks, I could absolutely see a world in which he's going off against Emu and that other characters around him get Domi reversied and he goes crazy and Roger and Garp have to fight. Or maybe the history books were wrong, right? Maybe they were wrong and there was actually another secret to this and that Rocks was actually working with them, which would also be crazy. That would be crazy. It might not necessarily even be like a full-on fight that has anything to do with anything related to the world government. It could just be coming face to face with Roger. It could just be stuff related to Shakky. It might just be like a rivalry thing. Exactly. Someone brought that up in the chat with Dylan. I don't necessarily know where things are going with Rocks. I don't think he's going to get Domi reversied, though. He seems like too strong, if that makes sense. He seems like too important and too big of a character. I don't know. That would be weird, though, if he got Domi reversied and then Garp, who is with the Marines, who obviously work with the world government, have to then stop a thing that the world government created. You know what I mean? That would be strange. Roger, I get. Again, Roger's just going to fight everybody. He's the Pirate King. He's the future Pirate King. At some point, he's going to go after everybody. I get that. But yeah, the reason for them fighting against him, I don't think is fully clear just yet. Beyond maybe Rayleigh saving Shakky, unless he gets super upset and says, you ran off with Shakky, didn't even give me a chance. But I don't think that's the case anymore. Because again, he doesn't really care about her. He cares about his wife and he cares about his child. Or even not necessarily the wife, but like the mother of his child. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't extremely interested to see how we were going to get there, though. I do think this is the end of like the Shakky stuff, though. I do very much feel like Shakky and Rayleigh escape from this situation. Roger allows them to escape, goes against Garp, allowing Shakky to run off, and that Rocks then gets involved after that. I'm not really sure, though. I'm not really sure. Either way, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Well, with that being said, I want to hop on into some of these super chats. So let me move on back over here to my just chatting. I'm going to open up the chat so we can have this conversation. And I want to read some of these super chats. All right, so I'm going to go in order to some of the ones that I didn't already acknowledge. Matthew Cook, once again, coming through saying good morning and afternoon here in Lucca, Italy. Just joining your live feed. Hope you didn't get spoiled. I did not. Thank you very much, Matthew. Shout out, by the way, to Brian F., to Black Cav, to Bryant Brawler, and to Guido0471, all for becoming members during the stream. Nakama. Greatly appreciate you all. Thank you very, very much for doing that. Appreciate that. We already read this one from Ethan Schiff regarding the miscommunication between Maffey and the Navy officer. We already read this one from Bryant Brawler talking about the anime episode for Garp. Paul Gale Network popped up and just said, good morning, Roger. Hope you have a great day. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Bryant Brawler super chatted again and said, Summers is a top 3 character that I can't wait to see die. Also, that Rayleigh scene at the ending, I can't wait until that's animated. You know that's going to have da-da-na-na-na, da-da-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and you're going to have the bright lights in the background as Rayleigh comes face to face with his love, and Shakky and him saying, I'll never see you before. You're going to have this beautiful moment, and then it's going to smash cut to Roger and Gabon saying like, why, get a room, you two, and then you'll get the record scratch. I think that'll be super funny. I do agree. I think that scene is going to be handled very well in the anime. Anime's also been doing a really good job recently of, really changing up the animation to suit the theming of the scene. Whether it's like what we just got in the most recent episode before today's, right? Where it was like the Gorosei were arriving. We had all these amazing effects. We jumped to that scene with Usopp, and it had like that funny children's book aesthetic to it. Jumping to the scene with Zoro and Lucci completely aura farming. Toei going off with the swordsman powers. And then finally, that scene at the ending with Dory and Bragi and Luffy. Absolutely loved that. By the way, I uploaded my reaction to that episode, at least the highlights of it, as a short here on the YouTube channel. But if you guys want the full VOD of that stream, that is available in the member drive right now for members at the Nakama Tier It Up. So if you're somebody who's been looking forward to my reaction to that episode, things have been crazy these past couple weeks. Obviously, I've been traveling. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I also started the stream earlier today because I'm busy with stuff later today. So I had to start it earlier. I had to start it at 8 right when the chapter dropped as opposed to 9 the hour afterward to give, people the opportunity to read it. So again, I apologize for that. I announced it in the Discord. I talked about it on my social media, but many of you might have missed that. So if you're getting here at 9 and you're like, did he already read the chapter? What already happened? I did. Don't worry. The VOD is all being uploaded. You guys can watch it afterwards. But yeah, the full reaction to that episode is going to be in the member drive. And again, we do not have time to react to the episode that's dropping today, but we'll probably end up doing a catch-up one next weekend. We'll probably end up doing the new chapter and then going back on Twitch and doing live reactions to both today's episode and then the other one. There are so many videos coming out this week, Ashmit. So many videos coming out. So I would say, yeah, just look forward to a lot of stuff dropping. I've got a Paris video dropping. I've got a Mario video. I've got a lot of videos dropping. So it's just for this week. Yeah, we're not doing anything else after this week in terms of, doing these streams at like 8 a.m. These streams are going to be at 9 a.m. as usual starting next week again. It was just a weird thing for this week. Yeah. Let me also see here. What was another? We had another donation. We talked about Domki, where he said, wasn't that John's arm normal in Kuma's flashback? We discussed that during the John's arm bit. We talked about Andrew Dittman's as well. Lion's Son over here, bringing up the thing with real Captain Kidd's dad called Captain John. We talked about that earlier. Here's a new one. This one comes from Zaro Arctivus, saying, will any of the Rocks or Roger pirates cross paths with Saturn here? Or is Saturn going to stay out of the fight? So Zaro obviously is referring to the fact that we saw Saturn present in God Valley during Kuma's flashback. I feel like one of them will. I do feel like one of them will. Obviously, it was important to have Saturn there for Kuma's story, to have that face-to-face for what would eventually happen with the two of them. But I do think someone will come face-to-face with Saturn at some point during this, in real time, during this flashback. I do think so. I think it's more likely that it's probably going to be... Actually, you know what? I think it could be Dragon. I could see Dragon coming face-to-face with Saturn, because obviously Kuma has that tie with the revolutionaries. I could see Dragon trying to run out of the city. Because again, Dragon is the most wanted man in the world today. He is the world's most wanted man. He is the leader of the Revolutionary Army trying to take down the world government. I could totally see a world in which Dragon comes face to face with the Gorosei. Yeah. Also, by the way, Roger, there's no episode next week. The flashback's in 2 weeks. Oh, great then. So next week we'll just react to this week's. Great. That works good. That works good. What is this next one we got? Tinfoil Hat Theory. This one comes from Megabuster, saying, Loki then reveals at the end of the flashback a special ability from his mythical Norse fruit and is able to foresee past events even if he wasn't there. And Luffy is sleeping too. What? I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think he's actually just telling the story and we're getting lost in it over the course of the flashback. But I don't think he's got some Norse ability to foresee past events or anything like that. That would be crazy. It's a cool idea. I don't think there's really any precedent for that though, even in the story. So I don't think that's something we're going to end up seeing. But thank you again. Appreciate it, Megabuster, for the super chat. I brought this one up earlier. Text Zero saying Ray finally found his One Piece. I ate your potato. Bringing up again the stuff with Captain John that we brought up earlier, saying there is a real pirate called Captain John Kidd. Also, there was the real Captain Kidd as well. I do think that the arm was a huge hint that John is either Kidd's father or the previous owner of the fruit. And he also goes as Captain the same way that Kidd goes as Captain Kidd. There you go. There you go. Zorro also bringing up that Maffy's coat and sunglasses remind me a little bit of Doflamingo. I still see the Inazuma vibes a little bit with the split. Well, though, I guess, You know what? The glasses and coat definitely give off Doflamingo vibes. Actually, to be fair, now that I'm looking at this, the pants kind of do too. You seen St. Matthew with like the flower pants, and we always had Doflamingo with like those leopard print flower pants as well. Yeah. Interesting thing. Also, another thing to bring up with the St. Matthew satchel, the hair goes into what looks like a Mount Fuji kind of haircut, doesn't it? Could maybe be a cousin of the Don Quixote family. Again, if they are, you know, all royals, if they're all celestial dragons, I could totally see that being the case. Don Quixote, cousin Matthew of the Satchel family. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I love that. Let me see here. Oh, we got another donation from Terry Brown saying, Roger, I love the streams, but are we no longer waiting 15 minutes before streaming so people can read first? No, again, I brought this up earlier in the chat. You might have missed it. It's only early today because I got stuff I have to do today. Don't worry about it. The streams will be back to normal, 9 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday, next Sunday. It was just early this week because I had other stuff I had to do. But no, that's not going to be the case every week. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat. Rob saying, John aside, it's interesting that the only major player there who definitely has their fruit is Big Mom. We don't know if Whitebeard has his, and the rest clearly don't. Well, yeah, again, Kaido is going to get his at some point. Whitebeard does have his, I believe. Didn't we see the earthquake fruit before? Didn't we see that in like a previous chapter of this flashback? Where then Kaido was with Whitebeard, and Whitebeard said to Kaido, you got to be really careful once you choose the devil fruit. He definitely has it. Yeah. Oh, also, chat is saying, yes, he does have it. He got corrected. Yeah, I was going to say, I definitely remember him having it. Because we got that moment with the, what's it called? With the earthquake. Let me see. What's this one? Code 1 says, Shakky was the caretaker. Where's Buggy? Buggy? What are you talking about? Where's Buggy? Oh, because you guys are talking about like the Buggy descendant of rocks thing. Yeah. I thought we all kind of agreed that was a meme. That wasn't actually going to be the case. But yeah, I don't think it's looking good for Buggy to be related. I think that theory has gone to rest now, of Buggy being a child of rocks. Unless, who knows, maybe he escapes this island and goes somewhere else, and during the exact same year impregnates somebody else on a different island. I don't know, but I don't think that's going to be the case. 4D Cliff super chatted and said, Roger, do you think the Roger pirates or even Shanks ever found out that it was Dragon who put baby Shanks in the chest? Dragon probably told Shanks at some point. Knowing like the connection with Luffy and Fuchsia Village and Dragon and Shanks, I do feel at some point Dragon told Shanks that he was responsible for saving him at God Valley. Or at the very least that Shanks knows that. Yeah. I do feel like they probably know. Whether the Roger pirates know. No, the Roger pirates probably do know, actually. Because the Roger pirates took in Shanks, so they probably do know. Because Dragon probably came face to face during at least one of the times where they're all running on the sea and he's still, coming as an upstart within the Revolutionary Army. We still got a lot of time before Roger gets executed. There's probably going to be a time in which the two of them connect. Yeah. Because obviously they leave with him in the chest. But I assume that Dragon probably did tell him. Yeah. Or maybe Dragon doesn't even know that that was him as a baby. I do think they know, though. And at the very least, I do think that's going to be a reveal that will come up at some point within the story in real time in a conversation between Dragon and Shanks if it hasn't already. Yeah. I'd be shocked, though. Yeah. I would be very shocked. Tigray super chatted saying hello and... wait, why can't I read that? The super chat's blocked out. Either way, Tigris, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I don't know what... I can't read that. But either way, thank you, Tigray. I appreciate that. Saba super chatted $10 and said, Shinjiao's quote from chapter 708 said where he said Garp in his prime was the embodiment of a demon to pirates. If you see a Yonko dodge smoke, but Roger really just threw hands with this guy 24/7. Again, Garp in his prime. I want to go back on something that I said during this live reaction. This is Garp in his prime. This is not arguably, this is probably prime Whitebeard. Because again, he's got the devil fruit. And this is arguably prime Big Mom. But this is not prime Kaido. Because Kaido doesn't have his devil fruit by that point. So I would not say that's him against prime Kaido. But prime Garp scaring off prime Whitebeard and prime Big Mom is kind of crazy in and of itself. That he is just that strong. We've always known that Garp was very strong. That Garp was just holding on to that vice admiral position for the sake of the title and for the sake of what it means as being like the hero of the seas. But seeing him in real time going off, firing off these conqueror's hockey punches, walking out of Big Mom's fire like it's nothing. I think people got to put respect on Garp's name. And then when you think about that sequence, right, with Garp in his old age, beaten and bloodied, still putting up a fight against Kuzan, who is in his prime. I think a lot of people have been sleeping on Garp's strength, which we shouldn't have, because he's a Monkey D. The Monkey Ds are strong, right? You got Monkey D Luffy, Monkey D Dragon. Of course, Garp is going to be strong too. Like, I do feel like Garp is somewhat slept on because of the title and because of the fact that he's old in the story right now. But he's like going toe-to-toe with the rest of them. And again, we've heard the story of him fighting alongside the Pirate King at God Valley for years. But now we're actually going to see that in real time. The two of them squaring off against rocks at some point. However else this is going to come into play later on in the flashback. It's good stuff, man. Garp stocks are way up after this chapter. Garp is arguably the strongest normal human in the series. I would say him and Roger. Yeah. I literally think it's him and Roger right now. I think what we're witnessing right now in this flashback are the two strongest humans without devil fruits in the history of One Piece. With no, extra devil fruit power whatsoever. Other than, maybe I would say probably Prime Garp and Prime Roger are probably up there with like Shanks and Mihawk equivalents, right? Like present day Shanks and Mihawk. I would say they're all kind of around the same level though. Obviously there's some characters above other characters and that depends. But I do think like Shanks and Mihawk, when I think human characters, real time, right now, with no devil fruit. Shanks and Mihawk. When I look at this point, Garp and Roger. Obviously, Rocks would be included in that if we knew for a fact he doesn't have a devil fruit power. But I'm still not entirely sure what's going on with Rocks. There's been enough that's been shielded from us, and now this stuff with Teach and his baby mama, where I feel like a reveal could still come. With knowing what we like don't know about Rocks, I think a reveal of a devil fruit could still come for Rocks. I haven't completely thrown that idea away. Thank you, by the way, to Alistar for becoming a member as well. Nakama. Thank you very, very much for becoming a member. Appreciate you, Alistar. But I will safely say Garp, and I will safely say Roger. And I will put Rocks with them if we officially get a reveal that he has no devil fruit whatsoever. Yeah. Again, I feel like looking at this time, this great age before Roger ushered in like the great age of pirates, this is the all the people who are at the pinnacle of the strength of the world are present during God Valley right here. So you've got the strongest of the strong all present in this exact situation. I think it's just crazy to see like three of them running around and attacking with all these other pirates with super strong devil fruits. But realistically, like it seems like hockey versus devil fruit is very evenly matched here in God Valley. You know what I mean? Rayleigh stopping Summers. God, man. This arc is so good. This flashback is just so good. All right. Let me continue reading some of these super chats. We got a lot of these. We got Forever Nami saying, I wonder if Dragon will get his first bounty here just for being a witness or defying the world government. Much like how Robin at a young age did in Ohara. For sure, I could see that happening. Definitely. Also, he's a former Marine. So if he's a Marine that escaped and went against them in God Valley and stole one of the children or hid away one of the children and was responsible for hiding away one of the children of Garling, that's a huge deal. Absolutely. Alistar also came through, on top of being a member, also came through with the super chat and said, do you think there is any chance that Ace versus Blackbeard was at a renewed God Valley as it looked a little Western-esque? Don't we know where Blackbeard and Ace fought? Hold on. Where did Blackbeard and Ace fight take place? It did look like it was a Western play. Yeah, Bonero Island. Bonero Island. With the Wild West theme of the large rocks. Yes. Hold on a minute. Hold on. What if... I never noticed this parallel. I'm going to go full screen for this. I'm going to show you guys this. This is God Valley. Obviously, right. When it existed, you got the giant split in the middle of God Valley. You got the mountains over there and everything. It's got the Wild West theming. Bonero was messed up, but look at that clash between Ace and Blackbeard. With that split going right down the middle. The half and half. I'm almost wondering, could God Valley have gotten completely, utterly wiped out? Do we know where Bonero Island was? We know that God Valley's in the West Blue. Where is Bonero Island? Ransacked by Blackbeard and his crew, close to Water 7, not part of the sea train. Oh, no. But there's like grass around. No, this doesn't look this. Never mind. It looked different in the other shot. No. No, this is not it. Yeah, no. The duel at Bonero Island, no. So no, I don't think that's like remnants of God Valley or something. I still think the idea that like God Valley could be Thriller Bark makes a lot of sense with all the characters that we know were present here, like Captain John and Silver Axe and all these other characters that could still end up dying during this moment, and then their bodies, you know, stay on the island, and then he takes over them with the zombies, and that's that. Huh. I never really thought of the Bonero Island thing, though, before. It's an interesting thought. But yeah, it's not the same island. It's not. Man, this series is just so good, though. When you think about, like, everything that we've experienced in it. This, even looking at the little Ace versus Blackbeard thing, I haven't thought back on that fight in so long. And I remember that, reading that week to week. I remember reading that specific chapter week to week online on fan forums. Because at that point, not only was there not an official release of the manga in North America outside of the volumes, there also wasn't even really like a good scan website at the time. There was no other way to get the story other than like reading synopses on fan forums and people like clipping photos. And I remember being on the old forums, finding out about that chapter and being like, oh, we're getting something good here. Back in the day of reading them on LiveJournal, bro, crazy stuff. Man. We got another super chat. This one comes from Lion's Son, who said, Emu's Magic Circle in 1150 says Eris D. Tar in the bottom left. And Eris was, wait, no shot. And Eris is Rock's wife's name. Maybe Eris is taken into the abyss by Emu or something. Eris is the Greek goddess of chaos after all, and Eris D. Tar sounds like Tartarus. Wait, what? Emu's magic circle in 1150. It said Eris on it? By the way, fun fact, Eris in certain translations of Final Fantasy VII was the translation for Aerith's name as well. Obviously, she's Aerith. She's not Eris. But, still in all, interesting to bring up. I also think in Japanese it's also still Eris. But I don't think it's written with the same katakana or whatever. Let me pull this up. 1150, page 10. Eris D. Tar. Where do you see that? I'm seeing the circle, the diabolical covenant that Dory and Broggy are sliding into. But it's on page 10. I don't see Eris. Unless it's just like written in the ancient script and I can't read it. Eris D. Tar. It says Eris D. Zebek, one of the ancient Davy member clan. Wait, what? What? No, it doesn't. Hold on. What? Zoom in bottom left of page 10. Bottom left of page 10. What are you... Wait. Hey, what's up, Irving? Welcome. Nice to see you in here. Welcome, Irving. Welcome. Happy to have you in here, buddy. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. How are you, man? Eris D. Tar. Bottom left of... No, I'm seeing the bottom left of the magic circle, but it doesn't say Eris to me. Unless that's just written in Japanese, and I can't read it. I'm going to trust your judgment. I'm going to trust that says Eris. If that is, that's incredibly cool. If that ended up being that Eris in some way had something to do with this, or if this abyss power comes from her, and somehow, some way, Rox gets possessed by it, and it actually doesn't have anything to do with Emu. That would be kind of interesting. It doesn't look like Eris because it's upside down. No, I mean, I'm looking. It doesn't... I see E, I see K, and I see S. I don't see an R. It looks like, to me, from looking this way... Well, again, I'm just going to trust your judgment. I'm going to trust your judgment that it says Eris, because I think it's cool. Also, Alistar said, I thought that maybe some of the survivors went to Bonero Island afterwards and could have potentially built it up. Oh, survivors of God Valley, you mean? Like, not that it's actually the remnants of the actual island itself messed up, but that maybe refugees from God Valley went to Bonaro Island, left and went to Paradise, because, of course, they don't want to be on the Grand Line, left to Paradise and made this nice little island, and that's why there's all the Wild West theming. It's a good little point to bring up, Alistar. I like that. Very, very nice to bring up. Trevor also said, given that Kuma doesn't even have the fruit yet, and he bops 500 people away during this, how many chapters do you think we have left at God Valley? I don't know how many chapters we're going to need to see dedicated to Kuma saving 500 people. I said this earlier in the stream. I do really think it's probably going to be like 3 or 4 more chapters of just God Valley, but we've still got other stuff in this Elbath flashback we got to get. We got to get Loki killing Harold. We got to get Big Mom and Loki and the stuff with Lola. There's a lot of other stuff that still has to be built out from this. So I think we're going to be in this flashback until the end of the year. Bare minimum, I think we're going to be in the flashback till the end of the year. Yeah. Also, you guys saying James is the GOAT with the thumbnail, right? He did a beautiful job. And Irving saying, I'm not going to lie, God Valley is literally peak. Rox is my favorite new character. Bro, Rox is awesome. I feel like we've all felt that throughout the course of this Elbath flashback. We're like, Rox is kind of awesome. He's not as bad as we thought he was. Obviously, he was doing some terrible stuff. And he is the father of Blackbeard. And Blackbeard is pretty much irredeemable at this point. But still in all, he's great. Yeah, and I'm certainly not complaining that we spent this much time here. Saba also super chatted and said, maybe things get too out of hand to leave witnesses. So maybe Emu decides God Valley never existed like Lulusia and is hiding everything in the sea bottom. That is absolutely a likely possibility that it gets wiped out like Lulusia. Of course. But again, question is, where geographically is that? Is it related to something we've seen before? Where are the remnants of the stuff from God Valley strewn throughout the rest of the world? There's a lot we still have to see. Yeah. Just because Shakky has been saved and is probably going to leave the island with Silvers, we still have to see Roger and Garp and all that team up and Rocks and the disbandment of the Rocks pirates happening during this, which, you know, already some of them are fighting with each other and angry with each other. I don't know. The flashback is insane, though. And the fact that Loki is the one telling all of this is just really wild stuff. I guess, do you think maybe Harold also shows up here for a little bit? Maybe? I don't know. It would be weird. Probably not at this point. He probably goes back to Elbaf and we're dealing with all the other stuff that happens here. Yeah. A reread of the whole series is going to be absolutely wild. Imagine if every part of the series was as peak as this. I mean, there's some really great moments throughout the course of One Piece that are just as good when you read them in a, you know, a bulk reading session. But I do agree. I think a reread of One Piece before the final arc, I was going to save it. I brought this up during one of my Roger Rambles. I was going to save it for after the series ends. I'm kind of feeling we need to do it before the series ends to actually really pick up on a lot of this stuff and be refreshed on everything that happened and pick up, you know, some of these other little things that we're seeing now. I do really want to do a reread. I mean, I said this, I teased at this during one of my touch bases recently, and I talked about it on other streams. I would be lying to you guys if I wasn't kind of currently in the process of planning maybe doing the great reread next year. Because obviously this year we have no time. We got Kirby Air Riders, we got Pokemon Legends EA, we got Metroid Prime 4, we got the Game Awards, we got all these other videos I still got to upload, all these other games getting updates. Honkai just had this big update. Like, there's a lot of stuff that is still happening this year that it's just not happening. But I do think like a big reread, I think could be in the cards as like a big series next year. Yeah. I think the time is kind of right for it, especially with how things are working out in Elbaf, knowing we're now so close to Final War. I do think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I also want to do one more reread, though, before we get to the One Piece reread that I want to get back to. That I've decided I absolutely positively want to finish this series once and for all. I've decided, and that could also happen this year. But that thing, you're going to have to wait a little while longer for that. It's probably not going to be until like mid-October. But there is going to be a read-through before the end of this year that's probably going to start in October and probably going to end in December. I'm very excited for it. So, and once I do feel that once I've finished reading this series and that this read-through is complete, I think, not One Piece, obviously the other series I'm talking about and hinting to. I think once I've finished reading this series and that's complete, I do feel like I am then officially done with all of the major shonen. I can then officially say, I'm familiar with all the big ones. I've read them, and I could hang up my hat and retire on anything that's not One Piece, Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's the one big one that's left that I really do want to do, that I've started so many times that I want to get back into. And I think people will really enjoy it. So, yeah. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that for the time being. Also, 4D Cliff super chatted again and said, do you think that Oda choosing Rox's wife's name as Eris could indeed be a reference to the actual goddess Eris having a huge impact on the Trojan War to cause chaos and dispute by throwing the golden apple? Yes, absolutely, 100%. We've already seen Helen of Troy is all this stuff. I mean, essentially that's Shakky. So yes, 100%, absolutely yes. Yes. I do think that is something that he's trying to do with that name. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely yes. What is this other thing? Also the bottom, the cover page. Saeed is bringing up something with the cover page of this chapter, saying the bottom row of the lanterns on the cover page are supposed to be connected. Martyrs, and I can't make out the last word, but in Japanese, it says mound, like burial mound. Well, you can see Martyr, M-A-R in English, and then T-Y-R on the next one. And then there's a lantern that's covered by Yamato. And you said that in Japanese is the word for mound, like burial, like martyr burial mound, is what the bottom says, and then the other ones above it are like Izo, Pedro, Kurazumi, Kanjuro, Ashura Doji, Otaka, Shimotsuki Ushimaru, Fugetsu, Uzuki Tempura, Kosuke Toki, Shimotsuki Yasui, Oden on the top. That actually makes sense that it would say that. If it says martyr burial ground on the bottom. Because I was wondering who those people were. I didn't know if those were individual characters, but I think you're right. Also, I'm just amazed by the fact that we've talked about this chapter for an hour and a half, and that 6 minutes of that was spent on that amazing cover page as well. Cover page this week was really amazing. Yeah, Proggers the Froggers in chat. Your name, by the way, is very funny. Saying, yeah, resting place for the martyrs is what it says in Japanese on the bottom. Yeah. Got it. Man, excellent chapter this week, man. Really good stuff. I also want to take this opportunity right now, while all of you are still in here, to remind you that today is the last chapter before the end of my One Piece character popularity poll results next month. So the poll ends. We extended it to October 1st to get your votes in. You still have time to vote. If you have not already voted in this year's popularity poll, join the Discord server. Make your vote known. Not only will it give you access to the server, not only will you be able to hang out with everybody. Obviously, members still have their own exclusive rooms and everything, but not only will it give you access to the server by voting, you can also see everybody else's votes. Those votes will be tallied, and we are going to be doing a huge live stream revealing the results at some point early in October. So look forward to that. The character popularity polls have been going on since the beginning of September. We had tons of votes in the poll. Tons of people have come through. Lots of individual votes and things like that. So make sure to get them in. Check out everybody else's votes. Vote for your favorite character. It's going to be a lot of fun when we end up doing that stream. Also, Danny bringing this up, saying, Roger, my member role still isn't active in the Discord. Make sure that you follow the instructions in the Discord for syncing your membership to the Discord. It sometimes takes about a day or two for your membership to officially sync for the month. But then after that, if you have an issue, contact one of my moderators and they'll be able to help you. Also, Clax says, about that, when do you plan on having the results posted? I need to show you what I have on the program so you can make some executive decisions. I will probably, we're going to reveal the results, obviously, during the poll. We're going to do it during the live stream. So we're not going to publicly reveal the results until then, but I will join you in a call at some point, Clax, and we will go over it along with the other talliers, and we will go over the results just before the live stream for executive decisions on a couple final tallies. But also, shout out again to Clax, who has been putting in the work with that program for the One Piece popularity poll. I saw a little bit of this when I was in Paris when I hopped in that call with him. It's looking really, really good. So massive shout out to community member Clax for really going above and beyond and helping with a lot of the tallying for this year. It's really, really, really awesome. Greatly appreciate that. Also, Mackenzie said, y'all better come out in droves for Rayleigh after this chapter. Absolutely. Rayleigh was the MVP. Ending the day, saving Shakky, winning the treasure of God Valley. Absolutely beautiful. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. We've been going for an hour and a half. Excellent chapter. That didn't even include the anime. Again, we're going to be watching the anime episode next week after next week's new manga chapter. Because again, there is a new one. Next Sunday, 11/62, I will be live. Thank you once again to all the new members. Thank you once again to all the people who super chatted during today's stream. Thank you again to James for that beautiful thumbnail. Like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Nakama! Have a great rest of your Sunday, everybody.